Well, hello there, and welcome to the second episode of Back to the Clubs with me, Major K. I'm a DJ, producer, and record label boss, and in this series I'm talking to other DJs about their club experiences. What was the club they've been to the most? What was their most memorable club gig? And who let the dogs out? Those are but a few of the questions I'll be asking every week, and I can tell you this, the stories they sometimes tell. In the previous episode, which is of course still available, you'll hear the Belgian melodic techno DJ M.I. rave about Watergate in Berlin. Coming up, JD of Plastic Dreams fame, Lucky Jesus and Greg Knox, and today the Brit Vanilla Ace. But before we dive into that talk, a couple of things perhaps. If, for instance, after the show you want to stay up to date, don't forget to subscribe in your podcast app. So as soon as a new episode drops, you'll get notified and have it right there. Do give it a rating too if you think it's any good. That apparently helps to get more people to discover it. If you really want to help Back to the Clubs, you can support the show by going to our Patreon page, patreon.com/officialmajork, where you can get bonus content. You can get the show without all this blah-de-blah, some extra answers that didn't make the podcast, free music downloads, and much more. Oh, and do find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at officialmajork. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's focus on Vanilla Ace. That's but one of the names you may know this British DJ and producer as. Perhaps DJ Sam Young rings a bell too, or Sammy Deuce, his most recent project. Doesn't matter under which guise, he's known to set dance floors alight, from the London club scene to festivals in Brazil to the weddings of Idris Elba and George Clooney. We talk, of course, about those two special gigs, about a club he really would love to play at again, and we start off with the reason why he goes by the three names, as mentioned earlier. Sam's a really generous guy, didn't know him before this interview, but said yes to it immediately, and he really took his time to dive into his past. Talk about a conversation at length, well, this is it. So enjoy the show. Here we go.
Back to the Clubs with Major K.
So yeah, welcome to another episode of Back to the Clubs. And this time we have our special guest, Sam Young, in the house. Sam Young, you might know him under that name, but you might know him as well as Vanilla Ace or as Sammy Deuce. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
How are you? Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
It's good. It's cold but sunny in London today. Can't complain.
Three monikers that people might know you under. What's the reason to have three monikers?
Oh man. So back in the mid 2000s, I was making a lot of music under Sam Young. I even made some hip hop tracks with this rapper called Athletic. A track called Peep This, which I even pressed up on my own label called Nod Factor. I pressed it on vinyl. I did it the old school way, found a distributor, I ended up even seeing one of my records in America once. I was in a record shop. So
cool.
Distribution does work. It goes all over the world.
Yeah.
And then at one point I was trying to be like Calvin Harris, David Guetta. This is when electro house, progressive house was big.
Yeah.
When basically just before the whole EDM boom, I tried my hand at playing that music, because I was playing open format clubs where I was playing, like the Guetta, Calvin Harris, the Swedish House Mafia. I thought, let me try my hand at that.
Yeah.
I tried it. Was my heart really in it? Probably not. That's probably why I stopped. But also around this time, that 2009, 2010, I started hearing the new style of new disco, deep house that was slowly getting bigger. And, I heard some of the stuff they were sampling, especially on the new disco side. They were using very obvious samples like Montel Jordan, like Bobby Brown, this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's cool, but it's a bit too, a bit too safe.
Slick.
A bit too safe and slick.
Yeah.
And I grew up on, I grew up on hip hop and R&B. Then that's what kind of got me, following the samples. That kind of got me into disco. Then it got me into house and blah blah blah. So because everyone knew me as Sam Young, and not blow my own trumpet, but I was quite well known in the London scene, and people knew the music I was making, I thought, well, if I'm going to do new disco and deep house, I can't do it as Sam Young. So, I love silly names like Fatboy Slim and like Hot Since '82.
Yeah.
Like all these, I mean, just like the silly names. So I thought, so one day, funnily enough, the very first Vanilla Race track actually came out of my own label, Nod Factor. I think it was I always say to people that I started Vanilla Race in 2010, but actually I think it was earlier. I think it was 2009. So one of the very first Vanilla Race tracks was actually on Nod Factor, my own label. It was a track called Baby Bush, which was kind of like a dark punk.
Okay.
It's still a good track. I actually got Felix the Housecat to remix it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got Felix the Housecat to remix that, and I got DJ Peer, he's like a legend, to remix this other track. So basically, this was my last throw of the dice of my label Nod Factor. Because basically, I was running this label. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was like, whatever. So that was my last throw of the dice with the label. And that's when I thought, no, what? No, let's stop that. I'm going to focus on the Vanilla Race thing. So I started making, a few cool Vanilla Race, like deep house, new disco tracks. I had contacts in the industry because just through basically my old flatmate is this guy called John Wolfe. He used to manage the Disciples, Wiley.
Oh, yeah.
He manages Elderbrook now. So basically, between me and him, we knew a lot of people. So I made these Vanilla Race tracks, and between the two of us, I managed to get the first. I think the first EP was signed to Moda, which was part of Southern Fried, and Southern Fried was Fatboy Slim's label.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that I call myself, Vanilla Race, inspired by, like a Fatboy Slim's, silly name.
Yeah.
So basically I was really encouraged by the DJ feedback on the first EP. So like all these people going like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so good. Like even I remember the Magician, we'll talk about him more in a minute, but he was integral to the Vanilla Race success.
Yeah.
The Magician said, he's like, oh, this is the best thing Moda's ever released. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, wow, okay, cool. So people like this stuff.
Cool.
So I was like,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So that EP comes out, and at around this time, SoundCloud is the fucking shit. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm not allowed to. Am I allowed to swear? I don't know.
Sure, of course.
So SoundCloud is like the place where you hear new music, where you discover new talent. And this is when like Disclosure's just coming out. This is before like their big singles, but they're just kind of like bubbling away. Like Hot Since '82 is like just coming out. Columbo's making all that cool like new disco stuff. Shram J, Moon Boots, all these cool guys are doing. Everyone's making good music. I think this is when like Dusky's coming out as well. Dusky comes maybe a bit later. No, actually no. Yeah, Dusky's at the same time. And then the Magician, he had this thing called the Magic Tape, which was getting like so many listens a month. It was crazy. It was like, this is where you discovered all the new deep house and new disco stuff. So he put, when you think about how many people make music in the world, it's a lot, especially now.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah,
so
everyone can make music and put it out there. It's
exactly.
So easy nowadays. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier now than it probably was then. But so the Magician then put 3 Vanilla Race tracks in a row, like 3 months in a row. Like each month he put a new track of mine on his tape, on his Magic Tape. So obviously then that kind of gave me loads of exposure. And I was like, oh wow, like this is amazing. Yeah. And then because of that, that's how I got my American agent. By this guy Chad, he was working for Spin, I think at the time. So this is like 2012, 2013. It's very funny how it all worked out, because doing the Vanilla Race thing was obviously a big gamble. And I never, when I started it, in my wildest dreams, I was thinking like, oh wow, I'm going to tour the world with this and I'm going to do all this stuff. I didn't. I mean, I wanted it to happen. I didn't think it was going to happen because obviously I was DJing, 5-6 nights a week in London. But funnily enough, when Vanilla Race took off, there was massive changes in my Sam Young club world. Like basically, Bougie, one of the clubs I was DJing at, I kind of had a big foot. I kind of like was falling out with the new staff there and new management. So I was DJing there less, and also China White, this other club I was resident at, was closing or changing its name and like they wanted new DJs. You know what it's like, they want new whatever.
So a makeover.
So it kind of all worked out just as it was meant to be. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like maybe I don't know, I had a premonition of that this was going to happen and I needed something else.
The right initiative at the right time.
I didn't know that, but I don't know. Maybe I was just following my gut instinct. But so basically, Vanilla Ice happened at the perfect time because there's all these changes happening, and I think I would have been stuck in limbo a little bit if I hadn't had that. So basically, the Vanilla Ice thing, by the end of, I think it was the end of 2000, beginning of like 2013. I was ready starting the tour as Vanilla Ice. As I was doing America, like I went to America between like 2013 and 17. I went to America loads. I did like Holy Ship twice. I did Hard Summer twice. I did like Exchange in LA a bunch of times. I did I did some amazing. But my very first Vanilla Ice gig in New York. Crystal Waters was the performing, so like I was the main DJ, and then she was the main performance.
Nice.
And she came in with what's his name? The guy who the actor who died last year. He was in The Wire. Everyone was very upset.
Yeah.
Is it Michael?
Michael K. Williams.
Michael K. Williams. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. So I'm DJing, and there's a door. We're in this warehouse in like Brooklyn, and they changed this gym into a rave space for the night. And I remember it was raining so bad. I've never seen New York rain like that. It was raining really badly that night. And I just finished my set, and then through the side door, Crystal Waters walks in, and I'm like, oh wow! But she walks in with Michael. So I was like, oh wow! So I was like, damn. I was like, okay, it's like that. And then but obviously, I've met loads of famous people before, but I was just a bit like taken aback that he was with her. Then I realized later that I didn't realize that he'd come up in the club scene being a dancer and blah 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 and all that stuff, and that's how he knows her.
Right. Yeah.
So that kind of then I was like, okay, that's why. So they're still tight. They're still friends.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and it's basically to answer about Sammy Deuce. Sammy Deuce came about because this is a lesson for like new producers. I was doing too many genres as Vanilla Ice. I was doing like when I started Vanilla Ice, I didn't realize you couldn't. It's not like you can't do it, but it's kind of frowned upon if you do too many different things, Right. So as Vanilla Ice, I was doing new disco, deep house, tech house, like disco.
And people kind of want to
they want to pigeonhole
you to be boxed in a little bit.
Yeah, they want to box you in. So
yeah.
Then so basically, I think is when I started Sammy Deuce was a couple of years ago. So I thought, no, I'm gonna do Sammy Deuce because I have a massive love for like rare groove and funk and disco and stuff, and like a more soulful, funky side of stuff. So I thought, let me just start another alias just to focus on that, because I don't want to confuse myself anymore. I don't want to confuse other people. So so Vanilla Ice now is kind of like just more like clubby stuff. It's like the tech house, the house music, the more stuff you'd hear in a rave or a club, in a proper club. And Sammy Deuce is probably like the cooler side of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, more funky.
But it's having loads of. It's another. I mean, I haven't really, obviously, because of COVID, I haven't really toured with Sammy Deuce, but the success I've had with it is amazing. Like I've had more top 10s and number 1s with Sammy Deuce than I think I've had with Vanilla Ice.
All right.
So, yeah, like
there's really a taste for the music that Sammy Deuce produces.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it's more up my street as well. And I can, there's no like rule book. It's kind of like
sure. That's the thing with being creative. You just go with your own flow, and you have to be happy with the things that you put out in the first. That's the essence really for yourself as a producer, I think.
Yeah. Like so the Sammy Deuce track that's out now is called "Feel So Good" with Seb Junior. Seb Junior is like really big in the deep house scene, And that was like my on track source. It was like pre-order number one.
Yeah.
Like over like coming up to the release. I never even had that before, so I was just like, oh wow. So
yeah,
no. So it's great. It's great.
Cool. Good things are happening, that's for sure.
Yeah,
in
cool.
that answer about the monikers, you touched upon the places you've been to go DJing. Could you lay the map a little bit further? You mentioned New York, London, but where did you play geographically?
Oh wow. So before I did the monikers, I was already, under my real name. I've DJed all over Europe. I've done weddings in Hawaii. I've done like hotel events all the way in Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan.
Really?
That
must be special, no?
Yeah. I mean, the Azerbaijan story is like a whole other podcast on its own. Just getting out of that country is like it was very very it was tricky. That's all I'll say.
Okay,
that's a whole other story.
Perhaps we can come back to that for an extra bit or something.
Yeah, that was like one of the most insane airport experience I've ever had. But with with just doing like weddings and like destination weddings and stuff, I've been all over Mexico, everywhere like crazy. But then I was very lucky. So once Vanilla Race took off, I went to Brazil over 20 times. In the space of like 5 years, maybe less. I don't know, maybe more. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I went there a lot. So basically, there's a point where I could have just lived there.
Yeah.
I was going
because
back.
You had so many gigs over there.
I had so many gigs there. It was like it was crazy. I did Green Valley 3 times, which is I know you're going to come to that. We're going to get to that question. I did Green Valley a bunch of times. I did all the main festivals in Brazil, basically all the main festivals, all the main. There's one. I think there's a club called The Edge in Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like revered as one of the best clubs in Brazil. It's very underground and edgy and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I know we'll probably get this. I'm probably ruining your whole interview here. So basically, I was on tour in America. I was on this month-long American tour, and it's a big event planner rings me up. He's like, Sam, we're doing George Clooney's wedding. Can you do it? And I was like, oh. And I was like, looked at, he told me the date, and I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing The Edge in Sao Paulo that day. And I remember my wife just said, Sam, George Clooney's wedding is going to be on your CV for life.
True.
The Edge in Sao Paulo is not going anywhere. You can probably do that whenever.
Yeah.
So I had to cancel this whole weekend of Brazilian dates to do George Clooney's wedding. And if you ever worked with Brazilians, they do not like being let down.
No.
I mean, they
need your dedication every time.
They throw their toys out the pram like no one.
Yeah.
But I held fast and I was like, no, sorry, George Clooney's wedding, I have to do it.
Yeah.
That's on my CV for life.
Yeah.
Perhaps
we can get back to George Clooney later on, because this must be one of the most memorable things you've done as a DJ, I guess.
One is up there.
Short answer at this moment and a longer answer later on.
Yeah.
Do you, if you play for different crowds, because like people have their own culture, own atmosphere, that kind of stuff, do you adapt as a DJ a little bit? Do you play different stuff, or do you have a different approach?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I learned that when I was touring with Vanilla Race. Like, what they like in Los Angeles isn't necessarily what they're going to like in Sao Paulo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And what they like in New York and Chicago is not what they're going to like in Germany or Russia. It's all different.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first played in Russia, like this is when like new disco is huge and deep house. So you couldn't really. There was not much room for movement. They just wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
You couldn't really experiment.
Yeah.
And in Brazil is so big. People don't realize Brazil is huge. Sometimes your flight will be half an hour, but the drive from the airport to somewhere in the middle of nowhere will be like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Brazil is so big, and Brazil it will have its own, like a bit like America, it will have its own regional music. So you'll go someplace and it will have that one or two producers from that one little city will be like the main guys, and they've done a bootleg of something, and like that'll be your go-to track for the night. Because if you didn't play that track, you're like, whatever.
What are you doing? What
What
are you
doing?
doing?
Why are you not playing
Not
that
playing
track?
that track. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the same when I'm doing like normal open format gigs.
Sure.
Every venue is different. Playing to a crowd in Fulham is completely different to playing to a crowd in Old Street. It's
sure.
Yeah.
And that's what the
club,
DJ does, of course.
Yeah.
Look at the audience, see that they have a good time, and try to cater a little bit without losing yourself in the process.
That's very important, because I think I've learned lately, you can't just, especially with some of the cheesier places, you can't just play crap music just so they can sing along and jump around. Especially you probably saw my Facebook post from the other day. You can't appeasing some of these idiots. You just can't do it.
No,
you just can't. And also because you're like, why am I playing? You're not playing. You're playing it just because it's like kind of like the easy out. It's like, oh, I'm just going to play it because I know they're going to
bother you. Yeah, and otherwise they're going to bother you for the rest of the evening, and then you won't have a good time either. So yeah, it's a balancing act a little bit. Do you give them everything they ask for, or they're
exactly?
Yeah,
I know it's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. Because of the pandemic and COVID and whatever, I in the last the last 6 months of last year, I didn't really do any. There was no. I was just doing all my normal Sam Young gigs, as you want to call it, which was great. I can't complain. I was super busy, but they were all varied so much. You know what I mean? Yeah. So some gigs I'm just playing like house and disco in a restaurant where people are loving it and the staff are like, "Oh my god, you're amazing!" And then you're going and play a club bar where they want to hear ABBA and Jay-Z and wherever else. So it's like, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it gives you range. It gives you.
It does.
Range.
No. I mean, I'm happy to say I've got the range.
Yeah.
I can pretty much play to any room.
Yeah.
But you just gotta, as you say, be true to yourself and not like
Yeah.
Don't play Barbie Girl because they ask you to play it.
No, exactly. Well, back to the clubs now. The first club you ever been to, which one was that?
It's a good question, because I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, what was actually the first club I went to? And I think I was like 15 or 16, and I've got an older brother, and all his friends are older than me. Yeah. And I think we went to Café de Paris, and I was like 16 or 15.
Where was that?
And I remember Café de Paris is like it's in London, in the West End.
Okay.
It's a legendary venue. It's like they've done loads of films in there. It looks like a 1920s, 30s ballroom.
Yeah.
You've definitely seen it in lots of films.
Must have, yeah.
So in the late 90s, I mean, even up until recently, I think they closed for the pandemic, but I think they're reopening with new owners. Because it's such a legendary space. And I remember when I was, when you're 15 and you're going to your first club, that feeling of like, am I going to get in? Like, I'm so young, I shouldn't be here. Like, what am I doing? And my brother's like, just shut up. My brother's like 2.5 years older than me. He's like, don't worry, you're going to be fine. So I remember.
Yeah, because the minimum age is 16 or to go clubbing?
No, I think it's 18.
18 even, okay.
18 in London now.
Yeah.
But back then, I think there were so many clubs in London back then, they just wanted it to be full. So they're like,
whatever. And if you're accompanied by someone who's older anyway, it doesn't matter that much. So
I think the first club, I think it was Café de Paris, and I think second one was this club called Iceni, which is now gone. But that place was legendary as well. It's like a kind of smaller club that had 3 floors of different music.
Oh yeah. So you had a choice, kind of.
One first floor was like R&B and hip hop. Second floor was like house music. Third floor was like rare groove and disco.
Yeah.
But Café de Paris is like one massive room. It's huge.
Yeah. That last one, it reminds me a little bit of a club we had in Ghent in Belgium. You had the R&B room, the house room, and good vibes for the people who went there. And it's sadly gone.
I wish they had that now.
Yeah, well, exactly.
They need to have that more places like that now.
Because at that moment you can revalue the club life a little bit, because now it's like more about the concepts and more like, okay, we do just that and nothing else. But if you want to run a club and you have different rooms available, well, try to attract as many people as possible and do the different stuff,
Yeah.
Is my opinion.
I
Yeah.
agree because I would love I think London especially needs. I know there are some places like that, but it needs more. I
Hmm.
think where you know there was another place I went when I was younger before I started DJing full time. There was a place in Islington. Um, I think the club night was called Camouflage. Exactly the same, but it was a lot bigger. And the same thing was, but this was 4 floors. So one room was drum and bass, one room was like house and garage, one room was hip hop and R&B, and I don't know the other floors, but it was like literally like 4 floors of this. It was, and there's always like crazy
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
We got to remember as well, like before social media, you had to go out to meet people.
True that. Absolutely. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
didn't. You didn't. The internet was still a new
Yeah.
thing, and really, you only used it to send an email or whatever, or go on eBay or whatever. It wasn't. I think social media really kind of took over. Like I'd say, I'm just remembering as well from the Vanilla Race stuff. 'Cause when I started Vanilla Race, you didn't need social media to be a big artist. You just needed to have good
Yeah.
music.
Hmm.
Well, I'd hate now to be a new artist because now you got to do this whole, oh, look at me, I'm a model, look at me, my tattoos, and look at me, like blah,
Yeah.
blah.
It's not always about
It's
the music anymore. Not really.
it's not really
Yeah.
about it's not about the
No.
music
No.
anymore. It's about social media numbers and blah 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 and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So thinking back to that, I think it kind of changed. I'd say around 2013 onwards, it came more about social
Being
media.
seen and hopefully get the music across by doing that. But it's being
Yeah,
seen, being a presence, really.
yeah. I noticed it more and more as that the Vanilla Race thing went on. I was like, okay, it's becoming a numbers game. It's
Yeah.
like
That's
you know
kind of a shame, but yeah, no, it's I don't know if it's the game that's been played nowadays. It's how it goes, I think.
yeah. No, but even open format DJs are doing it. So even guys
Yeah,
like my who are doing like the normal
yeah,
clubs, they are I mean everyone. It's affecting
yeah.
everybody. It's not just guys who make
No, no.
music. It's even like the
Yeah,
normal DJs who like have to have the fancy photo shoot and oh look at me, I'm sponsored by such and such, and
yeah,
I'm wearing their,
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, it gives you exposure, but I'm just saying that has changed the way
Yeah,
it's going on.
absolutely. And I think in some respects, I think clubs need to do that as well. They're obliged to do that as well nowadays, just to
Of course, stay
present
relevant.
themselves better to attract the audience.
Yeah, you got
Which
to, yeah.
which
But
is a
even
good segue to the next question, by the way.
yes. Well, before you get to
Okay.
the next question, I was going to say even clubs, even some of the clubs my friends have opened
Yeah.
recently, they've made them social media friendly.
Right. Yeah.
So some parts of the club, you've probably seen it. Some parts of the club will have like neon lights or a special space where when people come to the club, they have their picture
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
so on
yeah,
and so
yeah.
on. So
And
all these
afterwards,
Instagram,
the pictures
yes,
are ready for you to consume with the logo of the club
yeah,
embedded in there.
yeah.
And
It's clever.
yeah,
It's marketing.
it's
It's
marketing.
marketing
Yeah, yeah.
101.
But
Yeah.
to go back to basics, what does a good club really need in your experience? What makes a good club excel?
Uh, always good music and good DJs, and if I'd just say just good staff, like well run. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So because you could have the most amazing club, most amazing space,
mhm.
whatever, but if you got bad DJs and bad
Yeah,
music,
you get
what's the
a
point?
bad rep as well.
Yeah, it's like having I don't know, it's like having the most amazing restaurant on top of the Eiffel Tower, but having a chef from McDonald's.
I catch your drift. I catch your drift.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely. Yeah,
It's like, yeah, look at my restaurant and the Eiffel Tower. It's got the best view of
yeah.
Paris, and it's the most amazing. We've got
But
everything's amazing, but the chefs from
yeah,
McDonald's.
and the
Okay,
food
cool.
is crap. So yeah,
Yeah,
I get
makes
what
no
you're
sense.
saying. If the music's crap, people won't even with the good view or the good environment or how it looks, it
Exactly.
won't stand up, and people will get tired of that, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's very
yeah.
important.
for you, what's the most memorable DJ set you've ever seen, and why? And not one of yourself. We're going to get there in the next question, but another.
I would never say myself.
But another
I would
DJ. Yeah.
say, it's, who would I say? Yeah, I wrote it down earlier. So obviously I used to be a resident at this club called China White, and so obviously like we said back in the day, you know, London used to have so many guest DJs, so many. And I remember one day, China White, they had Jazzy Jeff.
Oh,
Jazzy Jeff as a guest, and I think I had a night off or whatever, or maybe I just took the night off because I wanted to go and hear him. I think this was my first time like hearing him play a club set, and I remember it was great because I got there early. He started off with like soulful house because it was not busy yet, so he's just playing soulful house, cool. And then he just went into like the best party hip hop, like kind of like funk disco set ever. And I was just I was probably in my late 20s. I was probably like 20, 26, 27. Just like and then but he's just great. He's just so good
because he took you on a journey, kind of.
Just took me on a journey, but also I love that music, and he's just he's got one is just good music. Well, obviously you can play anyone can play the songs, but it's just how he put it all together and all that kind of thing. I was just like, it was amazing.
Does that work inspiring for you then? If you see another DJ play that well, or
no, definitely. I mean, it's I find it hard sometimes to think of like, what other great music have I ever heard or seen a DJ, and I don't know. I just think playing those kind of sets is a lot harder than say me go to a house club and seeing some guy play 7-minute tracks after 7-minute track after 7-minute track. It's kind of like, okay, great. I've done it as Vanilla Ace, so I know how easy it is.
And you have all the time of the world, Yeah.
All the time in the world. Unless you're, like James Hype or one of these guys and you're doing like a, one of these mega mix performances, that's completely different. But a lot of these house guys, there are some amazing house DJs like Roger Sanchez. I would say he's great. And I played with him, but I think from me growing up on R&B and hip hop and stuff, like seeing like a Jazzy Jeff up close and personal and seeing him kill it, like I was like, oh wow, like that's great. You know what I mean?
And for yourself, what would be your greatest gig ever? The one you really want to be remembered for?
It's a tough one. There's been a lot of. It's a tough one because obviously, like I could say something like I did like Idris Elba's wedding, right? So basically, on the second the second night? Yeah, the second night of Idris Elba's wedding, I'd already DJ'd the main like dinner part, and they had like Davido perform. He's like big Afrobeat artist, and so there's an after party bit with D Nice, and D Nice is huge now on Instagram. Or this is before the pandemic, so he's not the D Nice that is D Nice now. He's this, he's D Nice, the ex rapper, blah blah blah. Everyone's like, and he's friends with Idris Elba, so he's playing this very very cool after party bit. It's open air, it looks great. I think I'm done. I'm chilling, relaxing, and then on the mic I hear Sam, come to the booth. Sam, come to the booth, and I'm like,
what?
That sounds like Idris. What's going on? I go to the booth and Idris is like, "Oh, Sam, you got that new Stormzy track. Basically, it's the Bossy Bop, and Bossy Bop had just come out that day, and I had it, and D Nice didn't have it because obviously he's American, so why would he know about Stormzy? So it's not his fault. So he's like, we're going to go back to back, and I'm like, what? So basically, it was me and D Nice going back to back, but I had Idris on my side. And his wife was with D Nice. Wow. So Idris wasn't DJing, but he's standing right behind me. So it's just a memorable night because we were just playing like you got like the editor of Vogue there, Maya Jammer's there.
How stressful was that?
It's not stressful. I loved it. I loved every minute.
It more stressful, exciting, and a good.
Was it? It wasn't. When I think about it now, it's kind of like a blur. because I'd already played the opening night. I'm kind of relaxed. I've just done the main dinner bit. I'm kind of like, cool, it's not that bad. And also, he loves all the music that I grew up on. He's old. Idris is probably like 10 years older than me, mate. I don't know. He's older than me, but he used to be a DJ, so he knows all his music. So, I'm pulling out like we're just basically. It was like that Jazzy Jeff set in China White. We're just playing all the best songs of that for this very intimate wedding crowd. But it was just really cool, man. It's just like, I turn around to Idris and like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play Joe Budden now, or Flipside, Freeway. And he's like, yeah, cool. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that was me. I can imagine that. That's why you think this is, there's nothing that can top that, perhaps.
Recently, no, but then I could say my first Vanilla Ace gig at Green Valley was good as well. But it was only like a 1 hour set. So it doesn't really compare because when you're doing those 1 hour sets in a festival, I could say, some of them they were great, but it's kind of like it's so short.
Yeah.
It's like before you know it, it's over.
Absolutely.
But when you're doing like when I did like Clooney's wedding, I was the DJ for 2 days. There's no other DJ. It was just me.
All right. Yeah.
And there were some bands as well.
Yeah.
There were some bands. There's no other DJs. It was just I was the only guy. Same with the Idris wedding. Like I was the main guy. There's some other like D Nices and this other guy Longers who did play as well, but I was the main DJ for the whole period. Yeah. I did Elton I did Elton John's 60th. That was fun. That was like I was playing like disco and like 70s and 80s disco and stuff.
Yeah.
It's good. No, but there's been so many great parties over there. I mean, there's loads.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I have to look at my I write them down, and I'm like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But when you done so many, sometimes you have to remember them. But oh yeah, that one's cool. But those, I think recently I'd have to say, the Idris that Idris night was probably the most memorable.
Yeah,
for sure.
Is there a club you've been to the most or DJ'd at the most?
It'd be an obvious one because I was there for 13 years, and it'd probably be Bougie. So Bougie was a club in South Kensington, London, and I was a resident DJ there from I think it was 2003, so not to about 2015. So about 13 years or so.
Right.
I pretty much lived in that place for that time. I was there. I DJed there at least 5-6 times a month,
right,
during that period.
Yeah.
So there were some weeks I wasn't there because I'd be away doing something, but I was there a lot.
Yeah,
and I was there. I'd even go there on my nights off. I'd take friends there. I take dates there. A lot of times, sometimes they do massive parties that I wasn't even DJing because they do like Brit Awards parties for like with Missy Elliott and Alicia Keys and all these. But that place was special because back in the early 2000s, no one was doing Sunday night parties. So me and my friend started a Sunday night party in London. And this is a time when everyone was doing house music, blah, blah, blah. And me and my friend were like, we had contacts in the hip hop R&B world. So we thought, no, let's start a Sunday night that's just R&B like that, the proper R&B and hip hop. And so we had did parties for, who did we party? We did Joe Budden. We did Joe, the singer, R&B singer Joe. I had LMFAO down there before they were big, just before they got big.
Yeah,
I had
just
them
before
in there.
The big hit. Yeah.
Yeah, I had them in there. But that was good because I stayed friendly with them until afterwards, even as well, because they remembered you had us before we were big.
Yeah.
As a DJ, you got your finger on the pulse. You know it's going to be big. Parties for Rick Ross, Robin Thicke, Lady Gaga, everyone, Usher, crazy. Sunday night at Bougie ended up being the main night. It took a while. It didn't happen straight away. It was just slowly. Then it ended up being this thing, and then all because Sunday night all the footballers would come down, all the models would come down.
Yeah. Because Mondays they have time off, so
usually, so it ended up being this whole other thing, and it kind of, I would say, it kind of inspired a lot of other clubs to then do Sunday nights. Right. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna do Sunday night as well." So it's like, but yeah, no, but that was fun. That was a good time, and that was when, it was good.
Really fun memories.
Yeah, China White as well. I'd say second, because I was China White for over 10 years, so I was there a lot. Yeah. And because they moved locations, so the original China White was where I saw Jazzy Jeff was on Air Street. So that whole Air Street in London is right next to Piccadilly Circus. And back in like the late 90s, or up until like say 2010, that whole street was clubs. You had like 3 or 4 clubs in one street, all next to Piccadilly Circus. You had a club called Paper, you had China White, you had the Cheers Bar, which obviously I didn't go to the Cheers Bar, but you had China White, and you had another club on the corner called, it was Tokyo Joe's, and there was a club called Dolce. Yeah. That whole, I mean, people forget how many clubs used to be in London. It was like, there's a lot now, but it seems to be a lot more bar restaurants now that have DJs, which is good as well. But back then there used to be more clubs. Like
you've seen. I think you've seen that change.
I've seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's something that is happening globally, because here in Belgium as well, really good clubs needed to close down, and the same thing that you said. Well, restaurants having an in-house DJ and see what happens. That's something that's trending now, so to speak.
There's a lot.
If you well, you've been to a lot of places. If you would choose, and you hear a lot of DJs perhaps talk about the clubs they have played in that you didn't go to, or perhaps you did. Is there one club that really stands out as being, the best in the world? Is there such a thing as the best in the world club? Not to diss all the other clubs, of course.
Is this somewhere I played or I haven't played yet?
Doesn't matter. One club that you think...
I would say it's still very revered, and and I know everyone would, sell their grandma to probably play there if they could. It's Live in Miami.
Okay.
So I was very lucky to play there in 2010. And I think I was probably one of the first British London DJs to play there. So in December 2007, 2008, I was going to Miami with my family and my friend John, who I lived with. And we just linked up with all the Miami DJs. We just kind of got into the Miami scene, and they loved the fact that I was from London and I was doing all the London clubs. So I ended up kind of like playing all these venues with this guy called Irie, and Irie is the DJ for the Miami Heat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and this other DJ called Sandman. So Sandman and Irie were like tight, and I'd end up playing all these parties with them and meeting, basically just, I was doing all these nights with them. Even I'd done like New Year's Eve out there. And then Irie was on Scam Artists, which is an American agency. And at the time they had all the main open format DJs in America. So Irie introduces me to Sujit, who runs Scam. I'm the first European DJ on Scam Artists. This is like 2009. I do a massive tour in, I think it was like April 2010. Like literally, I'm away for I've never toured in my life. I'm just used to DJing 6-7 nights in London and like whatever.
Yeah.
And they booked me this crazy tour, 2.5 weeks. I think I'm DJing every night. I got the flyer for it somewhere. I think I had maybe a couple nights off, whatever. But I'm DJing everywhere from Santa Barbara to Chicago, Detroit, Miami, New York. Like I even did South Padre Island in Texas for spring break. Like I did everything. Like by the end of the tour, I think I remember the tour finished in Miami. Again, like I did Live, and then I ended up in Miami again for the spring break, for the Winter Music Conference.
Right.
But I remember playing Live, and my mind I was like, wow, this is what a club should be. It's such an amazing room. It's just huge. It's like it's on the Fontainebleau Hotel in the basement. And this is before EDM blew up in America. So Live weren't, so the following year, Liv started booking like the DJ Chuckies and the Getter and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Already in London, we were already playing open format where we were playing, mixing Major Lazer with, they were going to hip hop and whatever. So I went into Liv and I played like I play in London, like I would play in China White Bougie. So I was playing, Pond the Floor, Major Lazer, and I was playing. Then I'd play, segue into like, some hip hop and then go back in the house. But all to my American DJs, friends that were there in the booth, they're like, oh wow, oh shit, okay. And because I wasn't playing like I don't want to cause controversy, but I've heard a lot of open format American DJs playing like EDM house, and it's so cheesy. Like they play all the remixes with like Fat Man Scoop on it, shouting like,
right, yeah.
It's just like,
I think in America that rap element is still important.
Yeah, they love it.
Because
it's
otherwise
very Vegas. I call it Vegas dance music. It's just like
it's
really bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, I played in Vegas as well, but because I come from, playing proper house music, I've kind of always been proud of, mixing, like playing like proper stuff alongside proper hip hop. So like, obviously you'll play the stuff that people want to hear. But I remember very well that night at Liv, like I think they'd never heard that before. Like someone playing, you're playing Major Lazer and you're playing all the dance stuff and like some of the poppy stuff, but also then going into like hip hop and then taking it back to, so it's like a proper.
Yeah.
But my only bad thing about that night was the owner, the Grutman guy who owns the club. He wasn't there, so he never heard me.
Oh fuck!
So he was the one night he wasn't there, and I was gutted because I had a feeling if he had been there, he would have been like, come back again.
Yeah, sure. You never been?
I haven't been back since.
Back there? No.
Not to DJ. I've been there as as
a guest. But not to play a set there. No.
They're a bit funny there because I remember I did go back to Miami to DJ at other clubs, and it's like if you play one place and then you go and play a rival, they get a bit funny. They're like, oh well, you played there and you play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one of those ones. I was like,
that's a little bit petty. No,
it's very petty. But it is what it is. I can wear the badge of pride that I played there, and I think I must have been one of the first English people to play there, maybe the first.
Yeah,
I think they just opened. I think 2010 they just opened.
Okay.
They would like.
And so you kind of set the tone, but it's a really a shame that you never got to go back there. Then
I still got his email. I can him up. I said I've done these.
You should try.
I've done all these events.
Remember me? Oh no, you don't, because
it's been 10 years. Don't worry.
Or perhaps you just send a snippet of this interview to him.
Yeah, exactly.
And say, well, this was an amazing experience.
It wasn't an amazing experience. That whole tour was. So basically, up until Vanilla Race took off, I was touring, America, but as Sam Young, just doing open format clubs and stuff.
So apart from going back to that club in Miami, which you so deserve to go back to and play there, is there any other club in the world that you think, well, there I really would like to perform for an audience?
A friend of mine,
you've never been.
I haven't been there, but I know a friend of mine. He actually used to work at China White. He runs the Zouk Club in Singapore, which is basically very revered and very cool and big. And
it's a scene that's coming up as well in Asia. Yeah.
Me and him actually did a similar thing like this during the lockdown, like an interview thing. Okay. And we spoke about me going there. So hopefully I will. So because Asia has some incredible clubs and.
Cool. If you see some videos and pictures of it, it's really incredible what they are doing now. I think music wise that they perhaps are a little bit stuck in the EDM thing.
You literally read my mind. I was about to say that.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But it's like a wave that's going across the globe, and they are now on the EDM wave. But I think that the more underground stuff or the more savvy stuff or however you want to call it, that they will catch up on that in a couple of years time.
Maybe it's kind of weird that they seem to be stuck in a time loop of EDM in Asia. I just love it. It doesn't go away.
Perhaps,
going back, I played 2000. I forgot about this. I played 2018. I did Omnia in Vegas. That club is incredible. The whole the lighting system in there is like wow.
So it's a competitor to the one in Miami, or is that what you're saying?
It's a similar kind of room, but I'd say the lighting in Omnia is blows pretty much anyone out of the water. It comes down from the ceiling like a UFO. So basically, I had a friend of mine that was the GM for that hotel group, and I was on a Vanilla Race tour. And I said, "Oh, I got these days off. Do you think I could come and guest?" And he's like, "No, like, do you want to open and close for Afrojack one night?" So yeah, I went, and know what's funny is Afrojack. So when I was going back on after Afrojack, one of my very first Vanilla Ace remixes was for his label. So as I was going back on, I said, "Oh, by the way, I'm Vanilla Ace," and he was like, "No way." He didn't know what I looked like.
Yeah.
But obviously, when he was coming on, I had to like step away and like he has to do his big entrance.
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. When I went back on there and I told him, he was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "Okay, yeah."
Okay. Well, that's about it for our talk, and it was very, very, very interesting to see what you've done, where you've been, the experiences you had.
Thank you.
Where can people find you in the near future? Let's say in the next couple of months, half year or so, or half year. Is that possible to pinpoint some dates and locations?
I would say just follow me on Instagram, DJ Sam Young, and I'm always posting where I'm playing because every month is different. You know, because I have places I play regularly, but because I do a lot of private events like weddings and you know these gigs abroad, things always change. You know, and it looks like this year is the year that everyone's doing their getting married or doing the birthday that they didn't do 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
This year is going to be one of those years where I think there's going to be a lot of those last minute, a bit like last summer actually, where there's like so many like last minute events, like you got to come to Mykonos, come to Sicily, come here, come there. Yeah. I think this year will be a lot more, hopefully a little bit smoother. You know, when it comes to like traveling and stuff.
I hope so. I think so. I think that we've had the worst. Hopefully. Sam, thank you so much for being our guest in Back to the Clubs. It was really nice talking to you.
Sorry for chewing your ear off.
Yeah. And so do check Sam on his socials, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, and the Vanilla Race Sammy Deuce stuff is very easy to find. If you just Google it, you'll all come up and yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Sam, once more.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, what a trip that was, going all over the place, so to speak. Really loved talking to Sam. Hope we can speak again or even meet up in the near future. And though this was already some 50 interesting minutes long, there's even more. You might have heard Sam mention his harrowing exit from Azerbaijan. Well, that story you can hear when you sign up as a Patreon of our show. Head to patreon.com/officialmajork for the extra content. And thanks of course so much for your support. Don't forget to like and rate the podcast. This really helps promote it, and tell all your dance music loving friends about it. Next week, it's Brazilian duo Lucky Jesus who will share their stories. Yep, we're really doing this worldwide. Want to reach out? Do find me on my socials as @officialmajork. And for now, see you next time and enjoy the sunshine. Bye bye.
Back to the Clubs with Major K.